This is the Automotive Repair Podcast Network.
Hey, everybody. Carm Capriotto. I know you've heard me say this. It's been 11 years, and you're probably sick and tired of hearing it, but just let that sink in for a minute. I continue to work in this industry so hard to prop up everyone's mental capacity to be a better leader and to run a better shop. And I have a really great friend who is just a passionate guy, been around the horn a million times, Bill Haas from Auto Ignite Management. I'll introduce Bill right after we pay great homage to our sponsors. Hey, when customers choose a NAPA Auto Care Center, they get more than a repair. They get trust, savings, and peace of mind. Want your shop to stand out? Connect with your local NAPA representative and get the conversation started to become a NAPA Auto Care Center. Hey, let's face it, your shop management system is the most critical tool in your shop, and NAPA Tracks will move your shop into the SMS fast lane with on-site training, 6 days a week support, and local representation. Find NAPA Tracks on the web at napatracs.com. Hey, welcome back. Don't forget, everyone, we just made this really cool URL for our app. Yeah, arpn.app. You know, one night I woke up and I says, did you ever hear of .app for URL? and so I figured it out and I got it. It's the easiest way for you to get online, to pick Apple or Android and download it on your phone. So many great things on that app. And look, Bill, how are you? What have you been doing? Talk to me, my friend.
Well, I've been well, and it's really great to be here with you again. It's been a long time, so we got a lot to talk about, I'm sure.
Yeah, we do. AutoIgniteManagement.com. I mean, rumor has it, since I know Sarah, you're on fire. You're doing so many great things. Business is growing, people coming on to help you coach and teach and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we're really fortunate, right? I mean, the business is growing. I should be thinking about finding a way out, not spending more time in, but I'm not. The problem is, and I think you'll appreciate this, Carm, is I enjoy what I do. And I hope that shows. I really hope it shows because I do enjoy. I never have a day where I wake up and struggle to get out of bed to get into the office and have my meetings or meet with our team or whatever. I just absolutely enjoy what I do. My greatest fear, of course, is not knowing how it'll end.
Oh, dear, don't even go there. First of all, so that everyone knows, this is Coffee with Carm and a Coach. And of course, the coach is Bill Haas. And the ironic thing is we both have daughters who work in the business. Every time I listen to Bill and he goes, I don't know how to get out. Well, maybe you do and maybe I don't and maybe I do. And so we all have, of course, Tracy and Sarah, and they're out doing some co-teaching out inside the industry. I know that for sure.
They are just absolutely doing phenomenal. Yeah.
They're rocking it. And, a couple of years ago, Tracy joined me 5 years ago. She would have never thought that she'd be here. And I guess we appreciate Sarah for looking at Tracy and says, I think we should do something together. That was cool of her.
Well, I think it worked out pretty well for both of them. I mean, they're crutches for each other, right? And that's great.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I look at Sarah. Sarah joined the company 8 years ago and not really with an intention of what, why, or how.
So what did you do, Bill? Just set her up on a platform, kick her off onto the tracks, and boom, the work she's doing for you and the kind of education that she's delivering in the industry. Was it something she wanted to do, or did you coach or push her to do it?
No, it was something she wanted to do. She was working in a shop, actually, at the time. She was working in a shop, and she was their office manager, and she would do a little service writing to fill in occasionally. But I think she was kind of frustrated with the whole situation. And so she approached me about, how could I work with you? What could I do? And I'm like, geez, I don't know, really. And she's, what if I did social media for some of your clients? And that's kind of how the whole thing started. She worked for us part-time doing some social media for some shop clients that we had. And then she kind of got this bug, like, I think I'd like to do what you do. And what she was talking about was going out and speaking at a conference, having an audience and sharing what you know and how you know it. And actually, you were instrumental in getting that launched off, because one of the first speaking engagements she did was a podcast with you on the younger generations.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God, she was my expert.
Yeah. And so you were instrumental in making that happen and giving her that platform.
She got a voice. All right, Bill, just remind me later, I'll send you the invoice.
Yeah. And she is just growing, right? So a couple years ago, the whole hiring thing has, been such a challenge for shops. And so she said, well, why don't we help shops hire? And I said, well, we could help shops hire. I mean, I've done enough hiring in my life. I think I'm fairly good at it, right? I looked at what I would see our shop clients do when they're hiring and going, oh, don't do that. Oh, you can't ask that. Oh my God. No, not knowing how to make offers, not having job descriptions, all that type of thing. So we knew that was the opportunity. And so we kind of did that as a real soft launch, just offering it to some clients that already coached with us. And here we are a handful of years later, and she's grown it into this amazing business with a whole team of people that she manages. And she's just done phenomenal. And we've got shops all across the country that we work with today to find them technicians or service advisors. And yeah, it's been great. I got to give her all the credit. That was her idea and her undertaking.
Well, you deserve some of the credit by encouraging her and giving her the platform. So that's great. You had mentioned earlier you just love to get up and go to work. And, 11 years ago when I started this, I never realized that how much I would love doing what I'm doing. I'm so passionate for, the whole thing. People have heard me be a perpetual student, continuing education, get rid of the word training. It's really education. That's the critical part here. And and I love what I do. But when I talk to coaches, you and I will have the occasional, let's just get on and shoot the breeze, get caught up. You've always said to me, Carm, we continue to undermine ourselves in this industry. And, and I'm sitting there saying, my God, he's so right. And I just want you to come on and share your perspective on that.
A big part of that for me is looking at how, as businesses and individuals, we undervalue ourselves. We're so instrumental in keeping everything moving across this country at every level, whether it's an Uber, your own personal vehicle, a semi-tractor and trailer hauling loads of, goods across the country, whatever it is. But we've just undervalued ourselves. And so I look at it and go, golly, we are so specialized. And I think that people kind of get lost in the specialization piece. Like when you start to talk about specialization, they think, oh, you've got to be that specialist, like the transmission specialist or maybe the EV specialist kind of thing. But I think it's a lot bigger than that, because when you think about the expertise that every one of these individuals has and their role in the business, these are a group of people that are able to do things that others can't do. Couldn't consider it, could never come close to it. This is such a talent that it takes to be that individual that can look at something and understand how it works or do the research necessary to learn, the nuances of that and then make it right. It's not working anymore. And I think the undervalued part for me is if we would start to understand that specialization and the value of your expertise, all of your knowledge and your experience and the expertise that you have to be able to do something that no one else can do, we should be getting paid 2 and 3 times what we're getting paid.
Boy, you're just laying right in the lap of, of course, my declaration on the rise of the specialist. And Bill, I had no idea you were going to talk about that. And how I'm thinking about this with you is this. If I'm a diagnostic specialist and I'm falling in love with how the whole CAN bus thing works, well, then why not continue to dive and dig deeper in all the education that I could get and all the case studies that I could do for my own personal gain, find an apprentice in the business that I could teach the same things that I'm learning. So we have, a reliable second in command, if you will, of this. And I love your whole point. It's like, wow, anything you absolutely love to? Yeah, I love to diagnose CAN buses. Well, great. You call yourself a specialist? Well, you never thought of it that way. And that's your whole point. We're undervaluing ourselves and we're not lifting. That's what this whole declaration is about, is stop saying we're mechanics. Stop saying, and even the word technician, guess what? There's roofing technicians and HVAC technicians and nail technicians, all kinds of technicians out there, but the specialists save lives and they're so good at what they do. I love the concept. Don't undervalue yourself.
The other piece of that I think gets lost a lot of times is simply this. We look at that specialization or the hierarchy in the shop, right? Like this guy's at the top. That we always hear about the A level, right? Find me the rock star diagnostic guy, right? What if you had the brake specialist in your shop? What if you had the lubrication specialist in your shop? I will never forget this. When I was 17 years old working in a Lincoln Mercury dealership, we had one gentleman that only did oil and filter services on all the new Mercurys and Lincolns. Okay. That's all he did. And he never aspired to be it. He didn't want to know how to do. And I'll tell you what, he did an oil and filter service like nobody else ever anywhere else that I saw. He was an expert. He was the guy that if your mom's car was going to the dealership to have the oil change, that's who you wanted to change the oil on your mom's car.
Wow. Top of his craft.
Absolutely. So I think we shouldn't get lost in this thing like, well, there's going to be this guy up here who's like the specialist and then everybody below him. No, they all are to their own unique circumstances and talents.
Absolutely, Bill. That's why what I've written in here, there's a tire specialist, a suspension specialist, and these guys are at the top of their craft. Bill, years ago, you'd go into a shop for an alignment and they say, no one else but Bobby is going to do that because he can do this blindfolded. He was born to do this stuff. We've got diesel specialists, but you know what we don't have today that we continue to say? We got an ADAS guy. No, you have a calibration specialist or a calibration expert. And you're right. We're undervaluing ourselves. And I had no idea you were going to lean into being a specialist, but thank you for going there because I don't think we're stopping to realize enough about we're engineers and people don't want to stop and think about that. We're dealing with some of the highest tech stuff known to man. And we're undervaluing the knowledge that we have.
Well, this has to be how the business differentiates itself from all of its competitors. Because in the huge landscape of auto repair, right, a shop is a shop is a shop is a shop until they decide they're not.
Yes.
Okay? And the difference is this. The difference is the shop that finally says, I'm done, I'm tired, I'm not going to be like everybody else. I will take the time to tell the customer when that phone call comes in. Can you imagine, Carm, when the phone call comes into the store and the phone gets answered? And then the typical thing is, how much is it? Or I've had this experience, or I've been to 2 places, they couldn't fix my car, blah, 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 all this stuff, right? If the person answering the phone just took 90 seconds to say, thanks for giving me the opportunity. If you have a minute, I'd love to tell you how we're different from all the other shops.
You know, Bill, I know. And I just recently did a great interview with Larry and Kara Rose. And their moniker is all about being the dealer alternative. So you don't necessarily have to say I'm better than all the other shops. All you can say is, let me tell you why we're the dealer alternative. It connotes the other maybe shops in the area, but at least you're going after an industry. And listen, I'm not down on the dealership network at all. I am not. But in the competitive world of marketing ourselves and trying to get above and beyond into the client's mindset and using either websites or social media to boost that, we're the dealer alternative. And oh, by the way, here's why.
Here, this is how we are different. Otherwise, all they can do is expect an experience similar to the experience they had before. And if that was a bad experience, they just expect more bad experiences.
Oh, I can imagine a great social post that has a picture of the brand new alignment rack and say, look what we bought for our alignment specialist, Charlie. And then you go on and you tell the why. It's going to do this better, faster, smarter, leaner. It's going to bring great value to our clients and on and on and on. And now you're starting to tell the story why you're so good at what you do.
Well, and here's the other special part of that is part of the message for the customer is to understand that their vehicle is special. We bought this equipment for our specialist to take care of your special vehicle. Because the car you're driving today isn't like the car you drove 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 5 months ago. It changes so much, so fast, right? So there it is. It's all about what makes this special.
Hey, think about your customer's journey. How do they find you, trust you, and continue to come back? With the NAPA Auto Care program, you can deliver that positive experience every step of the way. It starts with visibility. Customers can find your shop through the NAPA online locator at no cost to you. And thanks to fully integrated national marketing campaigns, NAPA Auto Care shops are showcased as part of America's largest network of parts and care. Whether they're driving by to see your co-branded NAPA Auto Care sign or they hear about you through national advertising, the NAPA name, trusted by over 95% of the motoring public, builds instant confidence. Inside your shop, that trust grows. Using digital vehicle inspection and NAPA Service Assistant, you can clearly show customers what's wrong with their vehicle through pictures and videos. SmartSign creates an engaging waiting experience, while exclusive consumer offers help save them on services. And when your shop becomes gold certified, customers know they'll receive a consistent top-level experience every time. Customers also gain peace of mind knowing your technicians are ASE certified, trained by NAPA AutoTech, and backed by the NAPA Auto Care Nationwide Peace of Mind warranty. For an unexpected repair expense, the NAPA credit card helps them get back on the road. And when the repair is complete, their satisfaction is captured through the NAPA CSI survey, turning great service into long-term loyalty. Hey, you want to create this customer journey? Only one way. Connect with your local NAPA representative and get started. Hey, when customers choose a NAPA Auto Care Center, they get more than a repair. They get trust, savings, and peace of mind. Want your shop to stand out? Connect with your local NAPA representative and get the conversation started to become a NAPA Auto Care Center. Hey, let's face it, your shop management system is the single most important tool in your shop, period. NAPA Trax has made selecting the right shop management system easy by offering the industry's best, most comprehensive SMS. Now, it all starts when a local representative meets with you to learn about your business and how you need to run it. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice, and having local representation is a huge plus. Customizing Trax to your business, whether you're a one-person shop or a large multi-bay or multi-location company, a representative consults with you to help optimize your shop's workflow, efficiency, and profitability. Trax always has the flexibility to do business how you need to do it, which means it can also grow as your business grows. And unlike the other guys, will be there for you after installation with the best training and support in the business. Yes, a learning management system tailored to each role in your company. Simply put, Trax was designed and built for shop owners just like you. Visit us on the web at NAPA Trax. That's NAPATRACS.com. Boy, Bill, I've been reading some articles on high tech and what's coming up. And I don't know if it's the government telling Detroit what to do and how to do it, but they're apparently going to use a lot of AI to decide if the car should be started or not.
Correct. Sounds like, yeah.
That's pretty darn scary if you think about, and I heard a great story, if you look impaired, it's not going to start because AI is going to take facial recognition and all that stuff. But I think it was Lauren Fix. She wrote a great article about it. And she says, so you got stung by a bee and you're allergic and you're trying to drive yourself. You're all alone in the woods back to the hospital and the car won't start because it thinks you're under the weather.
Those are realities.
Yeah. There's something that says technology could, maybe shouldn't, go as far as it wants to go. Just because we can doesn't mean we should.
That's correct. Yeah. Be careful what you ask for.
Well, Bill, we have to stop undermining ourselves, which we started to talk about a while back. And that is, as a leader, as a family person, as a spouse, we're just not stepping into the role and even getting more comfortable in learning what that role is, than this continuing education. One of my questions to coaches of late has been, tell me, what kind of leadership training are you guys helping your clients with?
Well, depending upon what they need, right? And what they're willing to allow sometimes, right, is a big part of it as well. But I think for most coaches, I would tell you that I think we do a pretty good job of trying to understand how to show that person that we're coaching what the opportunity is or where they may be lacking, and be able to use real world examples of this could be different if, and then get that onto the path of helping them with some leadership.
Getting them on a pathway.
Yeah. I heard this recently in a TV show, and it has really stuck with me. Okay. It's become my new mantra, right? And what they said was, if you're not on your way, you're in the way. And so if you think about leadership training, I think that's, think about it. If you're not on the path to self-improvement, to being a better boss, a better coach, a better spouse, a better partner, a better parent, you're in the way. You're the person that's preventing the growth that's necessary, right? The chance to learn and grow and foster the relationships that are needed for that to happen.
Bill, do we have enough time? Do we have enough guidance? Do we have enough peers or mentors to help us? Once I realize that I'm not on my way, okay, I'm not on my way. What do I do now? And I can stop, and say confession to myself, there's 5 things that are in my way. And my next question is, I guess if I had a Bill, I would say, Bill, I've really made that discovery. Thanks for hitting me on the head a couple of times. What do I do now? And obviously, by having a coach, do you turn into be a mentor at that time? How's that work?
Well, I think part of it is becoming a mentor. Part of it is becoming more than just a coach. Some of it's, is it part of the coaching relationship, or, is it more, I can be your mentor, I can be your friend, I can be what is it that they're willing to accept from you, I think is a big part of that. What is it that they're willing to embrace from you? And I think sometimes you can't wait for them to realize that they're in the way. That has to be pointed out to them, right? It's kind of like we as coaches have to be the ones to help them understand that they're the cause of most of these problems. And if they don't start to change what they're doing, they'll never be on their way. They're just going to continue to be mad, upset, and frustrated with their lives that this is all it is. And they're expecting more, but they'll never get more because they're not willing to change anything.
Okay, you're my coach, and it's time for our monthly call. And you go down the list of these 3 things you wanted me to do over the last 4 weeks. And I said, I'm sorry, Bill, I never got to any of them. What happens next?
My first question to that is simply this. What was more important than doing the things that we committed to doing? That's my first question, right? Because there was a point where we had the discussion about what was going to get done, what needed to happen. We prioritized it. We didn't make the list too long, kept it a short list, 3 to 4 things. We didn't create pages of stuff, right? We said, all right. And then we created a timeline that said we have this much time to do these things. And we committed to that, okay? And when we get to the check-in, those things haven't gotten done. What was more important than doing the things we committed to?
Okay, so I tell you what they are. And to me, they were extremely important. I may be lying a little bit to you, you know. I may not be telling you the full truth. That is, I was afraid to do some of those things, which I'm sure, you know, I agreed because I love Bill and I'm just not competent enough to pull those spreadsheets up and review them and try to do some analysis of my effective reliability, blah, blah, blah. When I create all those excuses, do you just confront me? Carm, do you really want to grow the business? Carm, do you really want to make more money? Do you really want to hire really good people? Is there a come to Bill meeting ultimately in a couple of months?
Well, there'll be, yeah. I mean, and typically that's not immediately, okay?
Because life goes on. Life goes on. There's real excuses out there. But if it's the same excuse every month.
Well, if it's the same excuse every month is a real problem, right? And there's a point where you have to have the conversation about what is your commitment to what we agreed we're going to do here, right? You reached out for help to start, which is a great thing. That's necessary to get things started. You're also investing in this, okay? What has changed? Why is this not as important as you felt it was 3 months ago? So what's changed, right? Or, you know, maybe we've made some progress and maybe you're content with where you are and you don't feel like you need to go farther, okay? But you have to have that conversation because that's got to get flushed out. Because otherwise I get real frustrated, like, why am I trying so hard here when I don't see their effort on their part? I'll go spend my time somewhere else. My time's too valuable, right? So yes, there is a point where there has to be a come to Jesus meeting.
It seems that one of the greatest rewards that you would get as a coach would be the aha moment that as you're working, you know, these 3 or 4 things we need to do, we have an excuse after excuse, and then finally you either try for the sell again to sell the why, and then it happens, and the individual says, oh my God, Bill, I just can't believe what's happened to the business. And those aha moments, they've got to be so rewarding for you because the individual got out of their own way, which is what we're talking about, right?
Right. No, it is very rewarding. I mean, to see someone elevate themselves in their business to a point of being successful, however they have defined successful, because it's not the same for everybody, right? But to see somebody get to the point where they're complaining about having to pay taxes because they made so much money that they had to pay taxes, that's rewarding, right? When you see somebody, you know, move from having a shop with 4 technicians and 2 service advisors and just no harmony, discontent, everybody dog eat dog, right? And you start to see some changes in the staffing and you're helping them with all of that. And then you get to a point where it's like, well, there's still 4 techs and there's still 2 advisors. They're just not the same 4 techs and they're not the same 2 advisors. And this is a harmonious group that loves to come to work and they support one another and they do stuff outside of work in addition to enjoying working together. Yeah, that's rewarding. Heck yeah, that's rewarding. When you see somebody that really struggles with not having enough work, can't keep everybody busy all day, and then there's, you know, some changes in their marketing and their marketing starts to work and their messaging is improved and, you know, the platforms they're using are effective and you go, wow, now look at that. There's enough cars here for everybody to have enough to do all day, every day. And yeah, it's rewarding. I mean, I'm a data guy. I mean, I love data, right? So, you know, we're into, you know, the 5th month of this year, but last month we were looking at first quarter data for everybody, right? And I love to go back and look at, you know, some very specific key areas financially in these shops. And we have a lot of data and historically, so we can see, I mean, I can look at a shop, maybe the shop started with me in 2019, for example. And we go back to 2019 and we can see what happened in 2020. Well, okay, put an asterisk there. That was COVID. 2021 and 22. And so we can see the change over time of the improvement in labor sales, the improvement in parts sales, the improvement in parts gross profit, the improvement in hours per repair order. And, I love that stuff. It's very rewarding.
Bill, stop it. It's all about the data. Bill, I can't handle numbers. I love to turn a wrench. Why do I have to pay attention to the numbers, Bill?
Well, and that's a fair question because we'll help you do it. Okay. That's the struggle for a lot of people is, yes, I know I should. And yeah, but we'll help you do it. And we'll give you tools that make it very easy for you. And because we see your data every week, the minute something's changing or there's, something we need to discuss, we're coming right back at you going, explain what happened here.
I love stories like this. Now, the top shop operators that are listening saying, yeah, been there, done that. Thanks for continuing to remind me why I do what I do. But, it was probably maybe a full 10 years ago when I started to podcast that I started to realize that I really wanted to preach, maybe that's the right or the wrong word, to the struggling shop owners, to that middle group that just, they started their business for all the right reasons, but continue it for all the wrong reasons. I want this messaging from Bill and what we do, reach out and say you like something or subscribe to our YouTube channel or something so that you can continue to hear this kind of dialogue that hopefully someday, and I do the sign of the cross here, because we want to bless you somehow with this kind of knowledge. Listen to learn just one thing and then do something about it. And I love your quote, if you're not on your way, you're in the way. And that to me is the look in the mirror moment when you realize that it's you that's holding your people, your business, your client back. And I love the word. You talked about all those great people. You had 2 in the back and 2 in the front and nobody got along. And now you have the same amount, but they're in harmony. I love that word, harmony. And that to me reminds me, think about your business. Is there harmony? Listen, every musician can play a bad note occasionally, okay? So it's not always going to be perfect. But if you got 89% harmony, baby, you got a great company.
And that's the thing, that example of that shop and the changing of the staffing is really getting that leadership development. That's getting that owner to understand that you're the problem. And you're the problem because you're not willing to make the changes that are necessary to be made in this store. You continue to tolerate these things. You won't confront them. You won't. And so everybody's miserable. Nobody's happy. They're all frustrated. There's a lot of stress, right? You've got to learn as a leader, as the owner of that business, that you have to make these hard decisions and then take the action to make this a better place to work. That's one of the hardest things on the hiring side. Everybody thinks there's just like this magic that if I need a technician and if we use some company, and there's a lot of us in that space right now that are helping shops find good talent. But it's not always about finding the good talent. It's about, we also have a responsibility to make sure that this good talent ends up in a good situation, in a good environment, in a good culture, and has a pathway for success. So we're very careful, very cautious about working with shops that we're just not going to be able to help you. We can see that there's some things that you need to address first. And if you're willing to address those things and come back to us, we'll be more than happy to help you. But if you don't offer paid vacation and you don't offer any benefits and working 6 days a week is a requirement and all this kind of stuff, I mean, I can't find really good talent and suggest that that's where you should spend the rest of your career. That's not going to work. That's a formula for failure.
This is such an exciting moment here, Bill, doing this episode with you, because today's newsletter that goes out to all the people that have subscribed to our newsletter, it was titled Reboot Your Business. It's so ironic that we're talking about this And let me just give a few things. I mean, I kind of set this thing up, but should we continue to do this? Was a couple of bullet points inside of this. Should we stop doing that? What is working? What is no longer producing results? What are we tolerating that needs attention? Where have we become complacent? So those were a few things about in this reboot moment by paying attention to your business. And I think this has an awful lot to do with the discussion that we're talking about, because if you're not on your way, you're in the way. And to stop and do a reset or a reboot is, in my mind, the job of the leader, probably quarterly, because you can reflect on yourself, the business, and your people.
The greatest piece of advice I got from somebody when I first started in the consulting business, and when I started in the consulting business, it's interesting, I wasn't in the automotive space. But the greatest piece of advice I ever got from a mentor was this. He said, your responsibility is to find out what people need and make sure they get it. That's what great leaders do. They find out what people need and make sure they get it.
And never say they don't need it. Well, they don't need a vacation. They don't need health care. And again, that's the bottom tier of our industry is going to impact like a black hole if they don't start doing this stuff. You want to become something, start learning how to make money, build a great culture, and get on your way to, and again, let's talk crazy, maybe selling your business after 30 years, but you got to have a profitable business in order to do that, to learn to scale, to add more stores. I mean, this industry, I was just talking to someone, is this 22,000 shops may be ready to sell or just quit the farm in the next 3 or 4 years? It's probably true.
Yeah. And probably a fair share of those won't get sold.
That's right. They won't.
I mean, we hear stories all the time of, the shop that closed. And I'll say, well, what happened? Well, he just got old. And I said, well, you didn't try to sell it? Well, he did, but nobody'd buy it. So after 3 years of trying to sell it, he just locked the doors and walked away. Wow, that shouldn't happen to anybody. But
no, it shouldn't.
If you don't prepare, you bring that on yourself.
Well, we always have great discussions when you come on.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're a deep thinker,
Yeah. And I never turn it off. Ask my wife.
I know. Yeah, I know. You and I are so similar. It's a 7/24 thing. And I don't know how it is that I get to sleep at night. I just don't.
And the truth is I don't sleep much, right? So, I mean, my nights are typically going to bed about 10:30 and I'm awake by 3 o'clock in the morning.
I got up at 3:15 this morning and I couldn't get back to sleep.
My grandson, a few years ago, after being out a late night, drove by my office and he saw my car at the office like at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Let's go have breakfast.
Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know he was just on his way home. But he sends me this message and says, what are you doing at work already? And I said, well, I've got things to do. And he said, don't you sleep? And I said, well, you can't accomplish anything when you sleep. So there's stuff to get done.
I hear you, man. Well, look, thanks for being my friend and coming on this show that we call Coffee with Carm and a Coach.
Thank you for all you do.
I love what I do. And we always hope that people appreciate this and can grow themselves, their business, their people, their families, because they all want to become, better people, better leaders. And to me, that's the whole secret of anything. I don't care if you've got a coffee shop, baby. It's all the same. It's all the same. We fix cars. They fix caffeine fits. So anyway, Coffee with Carm and a Coach and Bill Haas from Auto Ignite Management, autoignitemanagement.com. Maybe you need a coach. Hey, thanks so much, Bill.
Thanks again.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive repair business podcast, Remarkable Results Radio. Get your episodic education on the ARPN listening app at automotiverepairpodcastnetwork.com. Also enjoy the podcast on our Carm Capriotto YouTube channel. Carm is all for advancing the professional automotive service industry. Until next time.